I will not be covering all of Donald Trump's rallies from this weekend. He did, I think, 4 on Friday, 4 or 5 Saturday, 5 yesterday, more today. The individual rallies really don't matter. What matters is that these rallies are responsible for at least 700 coronavirus deaths based on a new Stanford study, which I will get to later in the program. And the rallies are really at the end stage of humiliating authoritarian desperation. And that's where we will focus, because this is it, guys. We either end this tomorrow or we get 4 more years of it. There are rumors that Trump might continue doing rallies later in the week if the election results are not yet completely counted, if you can imagine. But we are potentially getting to the end of this. But Donald Trump said yesterday at a rally that he's looking at firing Anthony Fauci after the election. He essentially said, give me until after the election to do it. A fire Fauci chant developed at Trump's rally in Apalachicola, Florida. And Trump said, let me wait a little until after the election. Take a look.
Rounding the turn. I say it drives them crazy. It's rounding the turn because all they want to do, you turn in the news, COVID, 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 COVID. Would like to talk about COVID. And then next year, here's what happens. November 4th. You won't hear too much about it. You won't hear too much about it. Don't tell anybody, but let me wait till a little bit after the election. I appreciate the advice.
This is a sick country, my friends. This is a disgusting and sick country we are dealing with. 40% of it anyway. From day one, dismissing and ignoring and creating conspiracy theories about the virus. Anything to defend and justify Trump's terrible handling of the pandemic, making the top infectious disease doctor enemy number one, to the point where he and his family, his daughters, need full-time security, and now demands for that doctor to be fired. And the president, instead of saying, no, this is a medical expert, 40-year career of fighting AIDS and other infectious disease, Trump says, thanks for the advice. I'm going to wait a little until after the election to fire Fauci. And to be totally honest, you could put almost everything else Trump has done, the hundreds of scandals, the tens of thousands of lies, like put it all aside. This alone, when we have cases exploding for a third time, 20% of the deaths, despite having only 4% of the population, and Trump says fire Fauci, this alone would be enough to say, we must remove Donald Trump. And by the way, even if he loses, he might fire Fauci during the interim lame duck period. Joe Biden would have to rehire him, and I'm sure that he would. 94 million people have already voted. We will know soon. It's hours now, 36, 48, 72, maybe 96 hours. And we will know whether this man gets rewarded for another 4 years. Imagine saying, I'll fire Fauci after the election and getting reelected. That is what could happen. Let's now talk a little bit more about what happened over the weekend at these whacked out rallies. Privacy.com is one of our sponsors, and they're giving you $5 just for using their free service at privacy.com/Pakman. Privacy is a service I've been using for a while now. I love it. It saves me a bunch of headaches. It's completely free. And it's very quick to set up. And here's how it works. When you pay for something online or over the phone, instead of exposing your real credit card number, Privacy lets you generate virtual card numbers. The payments are withdrawn from your checking account, but your real card number stays completely private. And you do it all with one click. You can autofill the card number in your web browser, on the phone. You can create 12 virtual cards a month. You can set spending limits, freeze them, delete them whenever you want. I especially love it for free trials where you need to give a credit card number, because I can destroy the virtual card number as soon as I give it to the company, and I know I won't be charged in the future. If you're ordering food over the phone, why do I need to give a restaurant my real card number if I don't have to? Companies don't have to know who you are. Your real credit card number is protected from the data breaches that happen, unfortunately, more often than we would like. And it's completely free. They do have a paid version with different tiers where you can create more virtual credit card numbers per month, cashback rewards, extra security features. But go ahead and sign up for the free service. It's a no-brainer. Companies can't charge you unexpectedly. You're protected from identity theft. It costs you nothing. And Privacy is giving you $5 to spend just for signing up when you go to privacy.com/Pakman.